Hello, everyone, and good morning or evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Jinxie J, and I am an artist. I recently got a new Yeti microphone, so bear with me as I'm still learning how to use it. I hope the audio is good, though. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a recent purchase I made. I recently bought a lot of watercolor paper that I thought would be an upgrade over the current one that I use, but it turns out I was wrong. And I'm going to be talking about how that kind of panned out for me and what I did to remedy the problem. Some of it I was able to return, and some of it I wasn't, unfortunately. So this is me testing out the paper. I drew 2 quick illustrations on one sheet of this Fabrino watercolor paper, just to test out how my illustrations would look on it, one with a lighter skin tone and one with a darker, just to see how it would look. And the results didn't turn out the way I wanted them to, as you'll end up seeing. But before we get into that, first I want to show you these things that I picked up at the dollar store. There were these little shells dipping sauce containers, and I thought they would work really well for my watercolor paints, and I was right. I'm really enjoying using them. And I also found this ashtray. It actually turned out to be great for brush holding, and I use it as well. I think it was a good purchase. Unfortunately, though, there's a dip in the center, so that makes it a little hard when the colors run because they're too watery, but besides that, it's good. And then there were also these glitter candles there that I thought were just really, really pretty. I didn't end up buying them, but I just thought they were really pretty, and I wanted to show you. So to start off, I figure out my color palette and the kind of colors that I'm going to end up using. Here, I'm just wetting the paper to test its durability and see how easily it buckles. The original appeal of this paper for me was that it felt thicker than the Canson one, so I thought it wouldn't buckle as easy, and I was right about that, but I didn't like the texture of the paper, and I show close-ups later about what I mean by that. So no, it didn't buckle very easy, and it didn't warp very easy. And it took the colors quite well. I was able to do quite a few layers without any bleed through or anything like that, and the paper held its integrity, but it just ended up not being what I need, and also didn't end up working with the way that I like to do my paintings. I think I'm going to make this video one where I have some parts where I talk and others where I just let the music play. For the hair, I decided to use some mixed leftover paint that I already had because I didn't want it to go to waste. It was this bluish violet mix, and it ended up looking sort of like a periwinkle. And that's usually what I do with my leftover paint mixes. Rather than wiping them clean, I'll usually keep them in my mixing containers for as long as possible until I have to move on to another illustration, and then I'm forced to clean them out because I need the container. But usually I'll do tests with them or just technique practices and stuff like that, because I really hate wasting paint because, well, paint's expensive. So yeah, if I can use every bit of it, then I will. I decided to call this video Artist Life because it doesn't really have a point of topic or anything like that, but I really wanted to show you, I guess, just an aspect of what comes with being an artist. And I actually plan to do more of these videos about just things that happen when you work as an artist, and just, I guess, my life, like sort of like vlogs, but I guess like not really. And actually, I'm currently making the second one. This was filmed in mid-December, actually. It took me a long time to get to do the voiceover because after this video was done being filmed, then I had to edit it, and then Christmas came along, and then I had to figure out how to hook up my Yeti microphone, and then after that I actually got sick, so there was just a lot going on, and that's why the voiceover was pushed back so late. So yeah, a lot's happened since I've done this experiment. I actually have a video that I'm making about what the Christmas holidays were like for me. A lot happened. Not all of it good, unfortunately. But yeah, I have a video I'm making about that. Hopefully I can get it out in a timely manner. After being sick, because I was sick for like 2 weeks, I think. I'm sort of like learning how to get back on the horse. I'm learning, I guess, again, how to reschedule my days and make the most of each hour kind of thing. So to complete this watercolor illustration took a lot of time, a lot more time than I was actually anticipating. I expected I'd be able to get both of these girls done in one day, but I was wrong. Things ended up coming up and they needed my attention. So I ended up filming as much as I could, and I did some work off camera, as you can see. The other girl, her skin is already painted in, and the eyelashes and eyes are done on this one. Because I thought I was done with her. I thought I had already made up my decision that I didn't like the paper, but I decided to give her another go and just really try to see if I can make it work, to see if I can just make it better, like now that the page was dry and I had a better handle, but it ended up just not working, and I ended up just not liking it. So I really did give this paper a chance. I really did try my best to make it work for me. Like, I spent multiple days on it, and even after I thought I was done with it, I went back to it. But you know, it just didn't work for me or my style, so that's just how it ended up. It doesn't look that bad from the distance that the camera is at. I'll show you close-ups later on, though, about what I'm talking about. So here I'm doing the second girl with the darker skin tone, because I wanted to see how light skin and with light hair and dark skin with dark hair would work, how it would complement the paper, and how the illustration would just look on paper like this. But neither of them ended up looking good or to my satisfaction. Not even to my satisfaction. Like, it didn't hit what I wanted it to hit, so I found a different way to use it. So while I'm painting this, I'm already thinking that I don't like this paper and that I'm going to have to return it and exchange it, because it was months ago that I bought this paper and only now am I painting on it, which is a habit that I really need to break. I always usually buy materials and then I'll wait like a month or two before I actually use them, and it's a really bad habit because I should really use them the second that I get them, so this way if there's a problem I can return them easily. But for whatever reason, that's just not something that I do. But I need to break that habit, I really do. I was also really, I guess, upset and sort of frustrated because I had already drawn, I think, 10 illustrations on this paper, and not to completion, but like, you know, far enough that it was a significant amount of time. And I was already thinking about like, well, how am I going to transfer my illustrations, because now I can't use this paper. So I'm going to have to use my Lightbox and transfer a couple, and then there's this one that I think I'm just going to redo entirely. Just because I think her face is a little wonky, so I think I'm just going to redo that one entirely. Another reason I chose to do two girls on the same page is because I wanted to see a more natural look versus a more supernatural look. So I wanted to see how an unnatural hair color versus a more natural hair color would work for something like this, but both ended up not working out how I wanted. So here is what I'm talking about. The texture on the paper is still very visible through the coloring, and even though I went to the darkest points of this color, it still shows through, and I don't like that. I like smoothness when it comes to my illustration work. So I really didn't like that the paper texture continued to show through. And even on this one, I went with like a super dark brown. I went as dark as I could here, and the paper texture still showed through. And even if it didn't, not all my illustrations are going to be super dark, so it just wouldn't work. So here is an illustration I did the same night. I decided to flip the page around and draw a quick sketch on the back and see how that would work out if I ended up painting on the back of it. And it did work out better than the front. The back of the paper does have a smoother texture because it doesn't have the tooth. So I do like the way this little quick sketch turned out better. It certainly works a lot better for what I like my artwork to look like, but you know, it's not perfect, so I decided that I'm not going to use this paper for professional pieces, like when I go to do a full illustrated piece. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this paper for practicing. And here's a perfect example. So this is another video that I'm currently making. It's about underpainting, and I'm using the back of that watercolor paper in order to practice. I found these little Christmas stars at Goodwill, and I thought they would make great little paint palettes. I enjoy having little paint palettes rather than big ones because I have a confined desk space. There were 5, so I got all 5 of them. I really like them. So later that night, I came up with a new idea for an illustration piece, and this is me just thumbnailing out my idea. So the main purpose behind the idea of this piece is, I guess, how young women today feel about starting families and the pressure to continue on the family, which is something that I am currently, I don't want to say struggling with, but it's something that's on my mind. And I'm only 22, so so yeah, I will do this piece, and when I do, I'll definitely film it, but don't expect it for a while. I also decided to do a 3/4 profile view just to see how it would look at an angle, but honestly, I like the straight-on view much better. I feel like it's more impactful. Here, I'm taking the time to plan out my week and what I need to do. I'm going through my old drawings to see what needs to be painted, what needs to be outlined, what needs to be transferred. Art takes a lot of planning and time management. And this is something that I struggle with a lot myself because I work on multiple pieces at a time, and then I usually come up with new pieces to work on without finishing the previous ones. And like I have now, I have a bunch of work to get done and a lot of things to finalize. And the reason I think this is such a struggle for many artists, at least for the ones that I've talked to, is because while art takes a lot of time and managing, the way our brains work are incredibly unpredictable because inspiration can strike at any moment from anything. You may not even be looking for it, and you may not even want it because you have so many pieces to get done and you have so much work to do, but it can just happen at any point in time. And then you either jot down a thumbnail sketch or write out your idea, and sometimes the idea can be so compelling that you really feel as though you need to get it down in order to get it out of your system. And like sometimes when that happens to me, I'm able to just leave it at the middle sketch stage, I suppose, when the piece is just like a little bit more refined so that I can see where my idea is going and how good it can be. And sometimes I'm able to leave it there, but other times I have to take it to completion because I'm just so inspired and so motivated with this piece. And so I end up working on it until the drawing is done. And then I start planning out the color mock-up, and once again it's happened where I have another piece added to the pile. But then the other side of that coin is if I don't jot down the idea that I have, it can stick in my head for days on end, and I won't stop thinking about it even if I'm continuing on with my other work. The idea will still be there because I really don't want to lose it, and so that takes up space in my head, and I can't focus as well as I could if I just get the idea down on paper. So I usually just let my inspiration take over and allow myself to be impulsive and draw out what inspires me or what I'm thinking at that point. And I can't tell if it's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly, because like I said, it takes up time and you have other things to work on, but at the same time, if you don't, then, well, at least for me, it just sticks in my head until I do. So I don't know. Can you tell me if you experience this too with maybe some of your work or some of the things that you do? If that happens, please tell me I'm not the only one. So here it's pretty much near the end of the night, and I just decided to finish outlining this fairy piece. She doesn't have a name. I have no idea what to call her. I don't even know what her colors are going to be yet, but I had to finish outlining her so this way I could transfer her onto some watercolor paper so she can be ready to paint. For dinner, I ended up getting a Tim's sandwich and made some scrambled eggs with cheese and a Greek salad. And that was the end of my day. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll tune in for the next one. Bye.